Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we have an interesting review for you guys. I just watched Dear Evan Hansen, which is releasing in theaters this week. That's based on the Broadway play of the same name, starring Ben Platt, as well as, he was a star in the Broadway play, and there's a whole controversy about him being too old for the role and looking too old for the role. But quite frankly, that is the least of this movie's problems. This movie has a lot of issues and a lot of controversy that it will inevitably have, and the fact that it did have it when the stage play was around as well, I think it will carry on to now here in 2021 and have the same exact issues that it had before, because I don't know, I haven't seen the stage play, but I'm not sure if it changed anything, because I had a hard time watching this film for many reasons. But I do want to cover the whole controversy about it beforehand of like the past couple months with the age thing, because honestly, I don't get it. Movies have done this from the beginning of time, where you have characters that are clearly adults playing teenagers. It happened in the original Spider-Man movie, and that is a much revered movie. Everybody loves the original Spider-Man movie. I think it's a little cheesy and over the top, but it's a lot of fun. And yes, it is very hard to watch, these adults in a school bus playing, teenagers. But who cares? This actor, this poor guy has gotten so much, criticism about how he looks, about his appearance, that I just think is really messed up, and he's getting all this hate for that. And just like, who cares? Because quite frankly, he's a good actor, he's a great singer, his voice is amazing, and he does fit this role fairly decently. That's just not the problem that this movie has, and that's not what people should be focusing whatsoever, because this movie is absurdly hard to watch. If you guys don't know what this movie is about, it's about Evan Hansen, who is struggling with his own mental health issues. He's a loner at school, he doesn't have many friends. A very relatable character, honestly, to me at the beginning, the first 20 minutes of this movie. And I think when this movie does focus on the mental health aspect of his character and a few others, I do think it is impactful. However, the plot of this movie is the fact that he runs into this kid, Connor, he signs his cast, and he finds this letter that Evan Hansen has been writing, because he's assigned to it by his therapist to write himself a letter, and Connor takes it and puts it in his pocket, and later in either the day after or a few days later, he ends up committing suicide. And so they think that this suicide note, this letter that Evan Hansen wrote to himself, is a suicide note from Connor to him. And so he starts this lie about him being good friends and being best friends with Connor, and this whole thing spirals out of control, and essentially he emotionally manipulates the family that is dealing with this tragic death of their son, or with Kaitlyn Dever's brother, this tragedy that happens in that family, and he's taking advantage of that and personally benefiting from it. And that is the point where I cannot with this movie. I just checked out immediately once this stuff happened, because I had not seen the stage play. I didn't know much about this movie beforehand. I just heard the controversy with the age thing, so I thought that was a controversy for this movie. But doing further research, apparently this movie had that same controversy when it was a stage play. People had those same concerns as they do now that this movie is coming out. And honestly, I do agree with the whole thing of people thinking that this movie is completely tone deaf to this situation, because the movie really wants you to sympathize with the main character of him emotionally tormenting this family the entire time. And it's just, I could not get behind the storyline at all, because I just felt bad for this family. And to be honest, that's kind of the point of this movie with this whole story. That's the point of, watching this character do these terrible things, and he goes through an arc and a journey throughout this movie, which he definitely does go through. I'm not saying that that's not there at all, and I do see how this play was popular, though. I see the fact that, this movie or this play had won awards. I get all of that, and this movie will have a fan base. The play already has a very strong fan base, and I see where you can have a split. It just depends on your personal tolerance to this fact. If you can get over that, and if you can watch this movie and enjoy the experience that this movie is trying to give you, then sure, you'll probably enjoy this movie, because it is a very, very well made movie. It's very well acted. All the acting in it is really good. The songs are really good, and just overall the story is well constructed, I guess. But if you can't get over that one thing, like same thing with me with Don't Breathe 2, I could not sympathize with that character whatsoever, because the main villain, or the main character of this movie, is the villain of this movie. The protagonist is a very, very unlikable character, and I just can't get over that. And quite frankly, there's a very easy fix to this. Ready? I was thinking about it when I was sitting in the theater, and this is what I've got. is a very easy change. And honestly, you don't have to change much about the story whatsoever besides making the main character Kaitlyn Dever's character. Because why not? Why is she not the protagonist of this film? For one, she would have a more personal connection to Connor, because he is her brother, and so that there is a personal connection there. And then you can still have the whole Evan Hansen thing and the whole other thing exactly how it is, and he's more pitted as the antagonist of the film. And so throughout the movie, you're kind of rooting for her to find out the truth, and you're kind of rooting for him to have his downfall and for him to go through his arc. And you can have it end in the exact same way, because one of my favorite scenes in this movie was the final conversation between Evan Hansen and Kaitlyn Dever's character. I really liked that scene, and I just wish that the movie was more focused on those characters that are being affected by what Evan Hansen is doing, rather than focusing on Evan Hansen himself, because I think he has some sympathetic aspects to him. His whole arc of his mental health, I do think that is very important. I do think this movie handles mental health awareness in a very strong way, and I think that when it focuses on that, especially with Amandla Stenberg's character, I wish it focused more on that, because when it was focusing on that, it was succeeding in the intention of this movie. This is a very well-intentioned script. It's a very well-intentioned play and movie. All of that is very, very well-intentioned. But unfortunately, if you cannot buy into that fact and you cannot get behind this main character, you'll honestly just end up despising it, because it's absurdly hard to watch. I was cringing the entire time. Any scene with Evan Hansen and this poor family that's just being emotionally manipulated by this kid that just keeps on digging himself deeper in this hole of just all these regrets that he will have, and watching is so painful. Even his friend at the beginning of the movie is like shaking his head like, what are you doing? And even Kaitlyn Dever's character is kind of disappointed and just disheartened by all these characters around the school who never talked to Connor once in his life, and are like taking selfies by his locker that has all these flowers next to it, when none of these people really ever cared for him. It's like if you take the movie Searching, for instance, there's this character in it that is she invites the girl who goes missing, she invites her to be a part of their science project or school project of some sorts, but essentially she invites her to be a part of the school project because she is very smart, and that's the only reason. And so when John Cho's character is first doing the investigation of where his daughter went, he talks to her and she has no idea because she's not friends with her. But as soon as this whole situation goes viral and the whole search for this girl is all over the internet, then she's like crying on camera, making a YouTube video, getting all these views, and people feeling bad for her because she is putting on a show essentially. And it's like taking Searching and making her the main character of the movie, rather than John Cho, the father that is looking for his missing daughter. And that is just like, why would you make her the main character? Why would you make Evan Hansen the main character of this movie? Yes, his name is in the title of it, but I do think that Kaitlyn Dever's character would be a much stronger protagonist for this story. I don't think there's necessarily anything in this story that is too wrong. I think some of it is very hard to watch, but if you make that purposefully the antagonist of the film, then I think it works. So, are you guys a fan of the play Dear Evan Hansen? I really am curious about your thoughts on this movie. I really think it just depends on your opinion on that one thing. If you can get behind it, you'll really enjoy this movie. Honestly, it's a very well made movie. I do enjoy the songs quite a bit. I thought it was very well done. And again, the performances and the singing are phenomenal. There's just that one thing that if you can't get over that one fact, and if you think that this movie is extremely tone deaf, which at the same time, like, there are moments where it's like this very emotionally, dark subject matter, and then they start singing, and just tonally, again, tone deaf. It just doesn't seem right. But I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm curious to see if you guys did not like the movie. Comment down below your thoughts as well. I'm curious to hear all you guys' thoughts on this film. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel to see much more reviews just like this one. Leave a like on the video and just check out all the other videos. I might do a ranking video for all the episodes of Star Wars Visions that just came out. I just watched that series and I loved it, and I want to do a video on that. So I'll have that up by probably the end of the weekend. So again, guys, subscribe to the channel. Thanks guys for watching this video, and hope to see you all in my next one.